that's a bad day. Because it costs you money, our kids aren't happy, you know, it's just not a good thing. And people depend upon us to be a part of their life. And they depend upon us to do things to make their life easy. And that's the part of the mindset that we're continuing to try to change. Look, guys, we have this huge responsibility. Our responsibility is that we help make people's lives function. And you have to take that serious. Number one, you should never get on our trains and have to worry about a safety event, right? I don't get on an airplane and worry about my safety. I don't get on an airplane and worry about getting to my destination. So safety is just something that's going to happen. That's the foundation. The second part, we got to have an experience that customers come on our trains and feel like they're getting good service and good value. That you get on Metrolink, it's a pleasant experience. And we're doing all kinds of things. We're going to put on secret shoppers. We're going to have evaluations of our conductors. We're doing a workload analysis of our conductors because I don't want the conductors to know. I want them to always be on their toes and never know if they're being evaluated by a secret shopper. Because you know what? You should come on that train and expect to be treated properly. And if you don't, it's not a good place to work. Now, I'm not trying to threaten anybody, but you know, if you're in a customer service industry, you have to be good at customer service. That's a fundamental. You think about how important it is to grow. You know, I keep thinking about the potential. You know, should we be hauling 100,000 trips a day? Should you be hauling 50,000? I mean, what a difference it would make if we could grow ridership. Think a difference it would make in freeway congestion. Think a difference it makes in air quality issues. Think a difference that it would make into the financial viability of Metrolink. Because the other part that I think is really important is that we become more financially viable. And when I say become more financially viable, we have to be good stewards of the money that's given to us. And, you know, I think it was the first meeting I was here, somebody asked about locomotives running. And this is just, you can't cut your way to prosperity. That's not the way you get better. You don't become profitable by cutting things. You know, you become profitable or you become more viable by doing things more efficiently. And, you know, we've done a lot with fuel conservation. You know, I think it was, we've talked about this a number of times, but it's one of the most visible ways of just managing smarter. So I think, you know, our fuel conservation program right now, you know, we're saving roughly 20,000 gallons of fuel a week. Now that's real money, you know, and you think about what that means. So we're going to save $1.5 million this year just in shutting down our locomotives. You know, because what I'd like to do, I'd like to get to the point to where maybe we could give a price fare reduction, not an increase. You know, I'd still like to get to the point where I consider the riders our shareholders. You know, I come from the private industry. We had shareholders, and they should have expected to get a return on what you do. Well, our riders should expect, if we manage properly, maybe we can give a fare reduction by managing better, by managing our assets better. You know, looking at how we do things. And, you know, to give you another example, we looked at our track work. You know, if you put your track gangs out there Monday through Friday on daylights, you think they get a lot of time to work on the track? Because there's trains running, right? So we just moved our workforce to nights and weekends when we don't run a lot of trains. So now all of a sudden we're getting a better quality touch on the track. Because to me it's about, everything you do is about quality. The quality touch on the track, the quality touch on the equipment. You know, so when you get something, you want to be able to do a good job. When you get a chance to touch it, you need to touch it in a way that you know it's been serviced properly. You need to touch it in a way that you know that repair and whatever you sent that work gang out there to do, that they've got the time to do their job professionally. Does it cost anything? It doesn't cost you anything. It saves you time, it saves you quality. You're not going to have the issues. Now, there's a whole series of things that since, it's hard to believe it's been 7 months. 7 months, mechanical department. You know, we've done a deep dive on all of our locomotives, on our cars. We can tell you which locomotives we've had problems with. We know what their history is. We've got a plan on it. We've looked at all of our problem cars. We actually put on a mechanical troubleshooter in the dispatcher's office. So now every time there's a problem online, the conductor, locomotive engineer can call up the dispatch office and say, look, I've got this unit. I'm having this problem. He can work with the conductor or the engineer to troubleshoot the problem. You know how many trains we've saved by doing that? Because instead of somebody that's not non-trained mechanical, the engineer can call and say, this is what this is doing. Can you help walk through this? Yeah, I want you to reset this. I want you to do that. And bulk of the time, they can fix it. You know, we used to have a lot of problems with doors. We've trained all the conductors on door maintenance, troubleshooting. So when there's a door problem, we got people now that can fix it. So this 97% didn't happen by smoke and mirrors. It happened because of a lot of hard work. It happened because people started to understand what was causing failures. We looked at just the number of people who worked on our right-of-way. You know, we actually now control the right-of-way. So instead of having 15 work gangs out there, we limit the number of work gangs so it doesn't interfere with train performance. You know, there's a whole series of things because it's going to be driven around getting customers, getting our passengers where they need to go on time at the lowest price. And I think as we go forward, we're going to take it very seriously about how do we continue to drive value, how do we continue to make improvements. And I'm not a guy that's going to go out and say, I need more money to run this place. We're going to figure out how we're self-sufficient. We're going to figure out how we do more with what we have. We're going to figure out how we grow ridership. We're going to figure out how we get better customer service. Bart was really great when I first got here. You know, I appreciate the grassroots people who use our service because you see more things, because you're out there, you see things that probably I'll never see. And, you know, I thought that our managers had lost touch with the product. So, you know, we made a big deal getting out, riding trains, seeing what's out there. And when you sit down and you look at it from the eyes of a passenger, you see something really different. And, you know, if you can't have candid discussions as an organization, look at all the great companies that have failed. Anybody in this room 20 years ago would have thought General Motors would go belly up, go bankrupt? Did anybody think Sears would have the kind of problems? These were massive organizations that became arrogant and forgot what they're about. And the one thing you can never become in business is arrogant. And the day you become arrogant, and the day you forget what you're about, is the day you're going to fail. And, you know, guys, I hope I never become arrogant. And I hope that I appreciate the input, I appreciate the feedback, and I'm pretty proud about the results that are happening. Now, we're a long way from being where we need to be. But I guarantee you, it's a lot different organization than it was 8 months ago. And in 8 months from today, it'll be a lot different organization because we're always going to look at how do we get better. And if there's anything that I want to leave my mark on in this organization is to have that attitude. You can't ever be satisfied. And the day you think you're good is the day you're going to fail. Because we're never going to be that good. Because the day you get satisfied, is the day something bad's going to happen, or the day that you're going to start not listening to people. So, anyways, that's kind of where we've been. You know, where are we going in the future? The next big push is to continue to look at different service offerings. We're looking at express trains. We're looking at semi-express trains. We're looking at run-through trains. I'm not beholden to any train schedule. You know, matter of fact, I think that if you looked at our service today, we're all about it's local service. And I've told this story a number of times. I was superintendent in Chicago, and Chicago is the busiest railroad center in the country. There's 26 railroads come in and out of Chicago. And you know, you look at the commuter lines and you look at what they do. And if you look at the line that runs from Naperville, Illinois, into downtown Chicago, Naperville 20 years ago, 25 years ago, was not a big, you know, it was a small, little sleepy town. And I really think that one of the transformations of Naperville was when they put on express train service. And you know, they put on a service that you could get on the train. Naperville is probably 35, 40 miles outside of Chicago. You could be in downtown Chicago in, you know, 45 minutes. And they run an express train service. Well, Naperville's grown into probably a city of, what, 300,000 people today, Avery? You know, and I think a lot of it was driven because you could live in a great location, affordable housing, not have to get on and commute on the freeways, and be downtown in a reasonable amount of time. Now, would that be something, I mean, if you lived in Riverside or San Bernardino, or you know, Lancaster, or some of these outlying points, and all of a sudden, let's say you needed to go from Irvine to Burbank. You know, we're looking at all these OD pairs. Where do people move from in a city? And as you look at, maybe I have a need to put on a service that would go from Irvine to Burbank and not go through Union Station. If you didn't have to go through Union Station and transfer trains, how much time would that save? You know, so we have to be more competitive with the car. And if we can start to design service offerings that will be competitive with the car or be more competitive than the car, you think people would ride that? You think if somebody get on the train and I could design a schedule that would cut 35, 40 minutes out of a schedule, you think if you were that working mother and you could save an hour and a half on your day by having a train that was take you from where you needed to be without stopping and changing trains, you think that'd be appealing? You think we'd grow more than 42,000 trips a day? Those are the kind of things. If there's anything I believe we need more service, not less service. I think we need to have different service offerings that will provide the kind of service that people actually need. Now, it's another great thing about having these kinds of expertise. You know, people who understand the schedules, people understand what would be good service offerings. But we're working through all those things. And, you know, I'd like to find a good pilot project. We're looking at Burbank Airport. I'd love to have better service to Burbank Airport. You know, I just flew in. I went home to move last week, got my stuff, and so we flew into Burbank Airport. Wouldn't it be nice to have regularly scheduled train service on both sides of Burbank, on both lines, where you can get on the train, take it to Union Station, connect up with the light rail, connect up with the subways, connect up with the flyaway service, whatever it is you need to do. But you know, we've got this wonderful airport. We don't really have the kind of service that I think we need to have. You know, you look at special events. We're the event capital of the world. You've got Disneyland, you've got all these things. You've got the Dodgers, you've got the Trojans. I'm not going to mention UCLA. You know, you've got all this stuff, and yet, you know, we need to have service where people can go to the ball game and then have a train to go home on. You know, we got to give a system that the people can use, something that will be practical, something that's efficient, something that gives good value. And all that